School Board welcomes public comment. According to policy 903, we remind everyone of the following. Public comments shall be limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise specified by the board. Participants must be recognized by the presiding officer and note their name and municipality. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer rather than individual board members, district employees, or members of the public. The speaker may speak once during each comment period. Please note, these sessions are designated for comments to protect the confidentiality and privacy of all members of the community. The board encourages members of the public to direct any comments regarding particular individuals, such as students or district employees, privately to the superintendent or to other appropriate administrators or board members, or to communicate with the board and superintendent privately by sending an email to psdschoolboard@penridge.org. Questions raised and not addressed may be followed up at a later time. And we have no one signed up. One signed up, Mrs. Furlong?
Yes.
Public comment.
Sue Furlong, West Rock Hill Township. I noticed that the very last item on the facilities agenda is a discussion again about the busing for the kindergarten children. Again, I am not mandated by the state of Pennsylvania to bear costs for the kindergarten grade, and I don't mind the services being offered. I mind paying for them since I am not mandated to pay for them. I believe that as a board you would be reaching beyond your state law opportunities. You took an oath to obey state law. State law does not mandate kindergarten. When you took office, you said you would obey state law. If you want to offer it and charge for it, I think that would be fine. That would defray some of the busing costs. Every stop has a cost, and it's not right for me to shoulder that cost when I am not mandated to do so. I'll happily pay for grades 1 through 12, but there should be tuition charged for kindergarten as there is for summer school, summer camps, and there should be a transportation fee charged. I am not the taxi cab for parents with kindergarten aged children. I am not mandated by the state of Pennsylvania to pay that transportation. So please do not overreach your authority to tax me. You may tax me for grades 1 through 12, not kindergarten, not grade 13, not pre-nursery. I am not mandated to pay any of those costs. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, seeing none. Next item on the agenda is obsolete items for review. Mr. Dahlgren.
Okay, at Bedminster we have a nice set of 78 ball bearing compasses that we can have delivered to anyone's house if they would like them. I'm sure they are very old. You'll have to probably get in line behind Dr. Bozeman because he'll probably want them. But we're going to go to public surplus with those. And then we also have some various old textbooks from Bedminster that are going to go to public surplus. At Siler, we have a old freezer and electric range that are both going to scrap. Neither of them work this time. And various playground pieces that are going to go to scrap. They're doing a project at Siler to replace some playground equipment, and that information will be coming to the board in the near future about what the Roman school would like to put there and to place there. So that's coming in the near future, but the equipment that's being taken out is old and it needs to be replaced. So at Diebler and Sellersville, we have library weeding logs, the normal weeding log that you would see usually on a monthly basis. These go to public surplus. And at North Middle School, we have a poster printer that is no longer working, in poor condition, and that's being scrapped. And at the maintenance department, we have a number of old pieces of equipment that no longer work and are being scrapped. That's what it is. not scrapped.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. Board members, any questions, concerns? Are you okay moving these all to the board agenda?
Yes.
Moving forward. Next item on the agenda is the capital projects bid results. Mr. Spatafora, you're on.
How are you?
Good, and you?
Mother Nature has kept us apart the past 2 years. I'm supposed to be here.
That's right.
So, go daylight savings. Okay, so I believe everyone, board members got the packets in their agenda for the 2019 summer projects. I'll go over the list. We go one at a time. Just for the board's information, we had great contractor interest. We got very competitive pricing. Anyone that was here saw that we had standing room only in this room, so we were very popular this year. So we'll go through the list real quick. We'll start with the district-wide air conditioning project. Jim, I'll give a quick note. On the paving and air conditioning projects, we wrote these up with multiple contracts. So we gave the district different ways that they could accept the bill, whether they were individual, bundled, or everything. In some cases, it was good that we did because we didn't get individual bids on everything, but we got an overall, or vice versa. So it allowed us the flexibility to pick and choose how we wanted to award these. So with the air conditioning, awarding the individual contracts actually gave us 2 separate contractors. One is JBM, the second is Myco Mechanical. Both of those contractors have done numerous projects, including the air conditioning of South and Central over the past couple of years. So the combined, individual for contracts 1, 3, and 6, it was $968,000. And for contracts 2, 4, 5, and 7 was $1,255,000, with a total of $2.223 million for all 7 projects. Second project on the list is Siler Fire Alarm, and the apparent low bidder right now, based on our conversations, is Westcott Electric, with a base bid of $163,000, and the alternate for Simplex was an additional $18,000, which gave it a total of $181,000.
So, I have to ask.
I knew this was coming.
I have to ask.
Go on.
Looking at the bids that came in on the bid tabulation, it looks like there is Fidelity Alarm Company
Fidelity
that's
Alarm,
significant.
112,000 and change.
Yeah,
Yes.
so, okay, so help me out.
Well, what I can tell you is, yes, they are low bid. I got parts list and I got some other additional information. The system that they submitted meets the specifications. The reason that the alternate was requested by the administration was we have Simplex in every other building in the district, and that's not the other reason is because we also have implemented the access control and the camera systems are all integrated. So the compatibility between all 3 systems works better if it's consistent across that platform. It's not that this can't work, but there may be some software upgrades that we'll have to do to get I believe it's a Honeywell, is what they submitted as their base bid. So as with past projects, we can't do a proprietary bid just for Simplex, so we put it in as an alternate. So that's where this went. The low bid contractor did not give us an alternate price for Simplex. So if that alternate is selected, he is no longer the low bidder.
So let me add to that. So fire alarms are life safety systems. It's part of our panic button. So it has a notification that works well through that distribution system. So if there's an intruder that comes into the building, we have panic buttons at main entrances that again, it works well through Johnson Controls Simplex, that you trigger that alarm, we know it's gonna go out, it works at every building, somewhat, I don't know that I can speak to the compatibility of this current system now because we're replacing it for various reasons, but it's, again, life safety and compatibility is the biggest thing. Could we work with the other one? Likely, there's just a lot of unknowns with it that we're not sure about.
So can we figure them out?
We can pursue that and ask the questions before we get to awarding, but there's just a lot of things in our mind. It's not what we have now. It's not tied in directly with the same systems that it's integrated with. We'll have to ask those questions. There could be glitches with that.
But as you indicated, Mike, it does meet the bid spec.
It does meet the bid spec as in a standalone addressable fire alarm system, yes. So we, in that way, we got what we asked for. The compatibility of the other systems, we'll have to figure out how they work or interface with each other.
Okay.
That's where the concern would be.
The other 10 buildings all currently have Simplex Grinnell systems.
Is West
Yes.
Rock Hill also, yeah, so West Rock Hill was the last one that we did. This is the last building that does not have the 3 levels of security with the cameras, the access control, and the fire alarm.
How old is the system we're replacing?
One that was renovated back in the early 90s.
Okay. Is there a reason why all of ours have gone with Simplex to begin with? Because if it's so much more expensive, it would have all been compatible if we hadn't gone with Simplex to begin with, right?
I don't think this is a fair one to compare to. We typically get more consistent bids for Simplex. And with this bidding environment, we either get really high or someone who really wants to get in and really low. Our budget for this was 130. And we're usually pretty close with our number. And the fact that he came in at 112. So we can,
The other guy came in at 112, this guy came in at 163.
But Westcott's in at 181 all in.
with the alternate,
Yeah.
correct,
So I thought we were talking about a $70,000 difference, right?
correct.
Between the two bidders, yes. Yeah. The other thing, I'll say this about that, I researched each of these bidders, okay? And there's only 2 of these bidders that are alarm companies, right? The other 2 are electrical contractors that, by the way, they also do other things.
Right.
Their primary business is either commercial or industrial, electrical contracting. The other one that, aside from Fidelity, who is a certified alarm company, Suppression Systems also, that's their primary business.
Correct. They are more low voltage
Yeah.
than PAC, correct.
So, that's, like I said, that's my concern, is that this is not their primary business. They don't do this all day, every day. That's their primary business. So that's just another concern I have with going with an electrical contractor to do alarm work.
Let me throw this in here. So with my experience, these systems are typically installed by an electrician and then commissioned by the vendor that you purchase the equipment from. So if it was a Simplex system, any electrical company could install it. Simplex would come in, program it, commission it, make sure it works the way it's supposed to work. People like Simplex rarely, I don't believe ever, do an installation for this kind of system. It's an electrical contractor installing it, and they come in and again, commission, make sure it works right, do all the programming work.
Is that included in the cost?
Yes.
So, yeah, and it's just kind of interesting to me that the 2 alarm companies, neither one bid on all one, it looks like. That's what the NA means with,
Yep.
with suppression systems.
Have we done work with Westcott? I'm sorry,
We
you said that.
have, Penn Ridge has not, to my knowledge. We have, Dewey has one.
And Fidelity, same way, we've not done work.
Fidelity, I do not have. The other word of caution with them is on their contractor qualification statement, they have experience doing public projects, but none of them are public schools. It doesn't necessarily disqualify them. However, that was one of the criteria on our qualifications form. So someone could contest, hey, I meet the criteria, I've done schools before, this guy is not. I think we already got one formal protest because they wrote, Simplex did not give me a number, is what he wrote on his bid form. So there was already an electrician trying to get that disqualified. That's no different than writing no bid. So that's nor here or there. So this comes down more to, do we want to take the alternate to get Simplex for the other systems, or stick with, you know, the alarm only that we'll have to make sure that interfaces with the rest of the system?
Or the third option is to flush it out a little more.
We can, yes, for that one, we can, number one, when the decision was made to go to Westcott with the alternate, I did not go any further with references and everything. I thought that's where this was gonna go. I would welcome that, so I can do some more checking and make sure that there are no issues with the system. And any other things that we can flush out that we need to know prior to the board making the approval on that contract.
I think, for me personally, I'd rather see us fleshing out a little bit more, because there's a big difference in the number,
Fair enough.
you know?
And Honeywell is a good company. I mean, I know a lot of people who speak very well of Honeywell, so I don't think, you know, it's a generic brand. So you're paying for the name, you know?
They have to meet the criteria in the spec. So it's not that we're getting an inferior system, we're getting a different system.
Right. Just a different
So,
manufacturer.
Again, the first and foremost, if a device went down,
Mhm.
Kelly's got a whole shelf full of Simplex Grinnell pull stations or strobes, or
We already
they can
have
swap
stock.
it out and we continue with, you know, daily operations. With that one, it's a service call. They have to come in, they make the change.
Oh,
So having stuff in stock is somewhat of an advantage. Not the be all end all of it
Mhm.
though.
And I can't speak to Honeywell, but other systems like Siemens, those are systems that we can't change out ahead. They're a total different, with Simplex, you can just take the smoke detector off, it's the base that's programmed. With Siemens, it's actually a head that's programmed. You have to call in a contractor at $400 minimum service call just to do one simple device. I can't speak to Honeywell's like that, but I know that's one of the reasons for my former district that we almost exclusively went with Johnson because of compatibility and functionality.
Does going with Simplex and you have to forgive me if I'm wrong here, but I seem to remember something about them from the tech school, that's a proprietary system, if you will. And
It's no different than the Johnson controls we have in every building in the district.
okay.
We can't write the spec exclusively with Simplex. That would have to go through state contract if you do that, to pick who you want. So we had an open spec with the alternate that if you did want to
Okay.
remain consistent and pick them, then that was an option that you had.
If we wait a month, are there implications in terms of when the work can be done, and is it at any time Siler in danger? Just from a security standpoint, assuming what we currently have is working, and that, I don't know, could this still be done in the summer, or does this become a after hours fall project that might cost more if we wait a month? What are the implications if we?
I don't think we're putting the project in jeopardy by pushing it to the next month.
So you could take some time to gather some
Yes.
information, send the information out in advance, see what other additional questions you have, that we could address at this meeting, and make a decision at the next one.
Yep.
Okay?
Can
I
do.
like that, I like that.
Okay. All right. All right. Next one
Moving on.
is the electrical switchgear at Dybel. That was NJF Electrical at $100,000. We only had an alternate for manufacturer for mechanical, and there was same kind of thing. You want to go to who was that?
Square D.
Square D as the equipment. But we don't have Square D as a consistent electrical equipment, so there was no real benefit to taking that alternate. So the base bid will stick with $100,000.
Okay, and there's no change anyway.
Correct.
Okay.
So district-wide paving. You guys did get the update that we missed multiple meetings trying to get to. We broke the project up. When I say broke up, the scope to a lot of those projects because the condition of the paving was far worse than we had expected. So we backed out some of it and made them alternates. And Barker and Barker was actually the only contractor to give us all 8 projects on one contract. We had Blooming Glen, who was at they did the paving project for us last year. They were in the pre-bid meeting, but did not submit a bid. Keeping all of them under one contract is kind of attractive with paving. So we have consistent installation, we'll have consistent concrete work, and it's, I believe, maybe $10,000 different from individual contracts, which may not have happened if we selected alternates. So the 1.3 million, 1,336,900 was the base bid amount for the base bid work, and then the rest of them were alternates. That was the stuff we backed out because of condition that we may or may not have been able to do based on the condition, depending on where the prices came in. The good news is, if we add it all back in, we're still slightly under our budget by about, I think, $100,000, I think was the actual number.
About
Yeah.
80, yep.
Yeah, so we're, 170, I think 160 and change is what it was. So that afforded us to do a lot of the work that was worse than we had anticipated. I'll give you an example. When we went out to do the survey for Bedminster, the only real project at Bedminster was supposed to be the front sidewalk that was failed. When we did our survey, the entrance drive and exit for the buses is completely deteriorated. That was never on the plan, but we can't go out there and not address that work because of safety issues. That was an alternate. So based on where the numbers came in, we can add that back in along with the other ones and still be under our original budget, which is all good news. So if there are no concerns with being under budget on that project, then we can accept almost all of our alternates and still be under that budget.
So you were saying, by getting all 10 of them through the same company, we're actually saving $10,000 off of if we'd gone with the lowest bid for each individual one, right? Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
but that also depended on the selection of alternates, because some of the guys that gave us a base bid number for a project did not give us they put NA for their alternates. So if we select the alternates, that drops them. You know, see what I mean? So we were fortunate that with Barker, not only did they give us that contract 11, which was everything, they also gave us prices for all of the alternates. So the math worked out for them to be, if we selected everything, we're just slightly under our original budget. Okay?
And to defer this is only gonna make it cost more in the future. The sooner we do it,
The concern is that, based on the year that we had last year with the water, the areas of paving that were already failing were holding water. We continue to drive on them with buses and traffic. It made what we had even worse. So our hope is that we're gonna dry out an awful lot before summer, before we start to do some of the heavy work.
I heard we were supposed to have a bad spring then.
How dare you?
I saw that.
Did Brown have that?
So,
We're getting in development, I know
so
that.
we did have a conversation about with the administration.
Yeah.
We can work with the contractor. If we, I'll give you an example. If we do a full depth replacement, let's say at Central, the bus loop, it's completely deteriorated and sunk. If we dig that to do the full depth replacement, and that first scoop immediately fills up with water, we want to defer it till the following summer. Because driving the big equipment on already soft sub-base is going to cause us more damage, more work, and then more money, because it's all going to be based on unit price work. So we will be on site when they do areas like the full depth replacement, make sure there are no issues. I don't want to come back and replace paving a second time because the base failed. So,
So when you do this scoop, how big of an area would be disrupted? If
Well,
you, if you did it and then you had to leave it go.
whatever it is, we'll fill it back in and we'll patch it
Oh.
with asphalt and we'll, yeah, no,
I'm not a
we're trying to.
Picture just a big
Assume there was
scoop.
gonna be a hole.
She's here for the preeminence.
The point is that we wanna minimize your risk to open these up and be stuck with a situation where we can't fix it now. So, we have a pretty good, relationship with Parker. If we decide maybe that one particular school, we can do a change order for an extension of time only and write it out to the following summer and not change the contract.
Meaning not change the price.
Within reason. If asphalt escalates to a much higher number, that would be something that we'd have to negotiate. It's not fair for them to try and hold a number
Okay.
for 2019 and it's $3 a ton more and we need, so we'll, let's say, I don't wanna say burn that bridge, but when we get to that, we'll work. And again, we'll bring it back with any issues that we have, with that replacement.
I can tell you from personal experience, PennDOT has filled the pothole in front of my house 3 times this winter in the
Because it's
last
wet.
6 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
Each time, they half filled it, and they filled it with some water. The water was in there already, they didn't get the water out, they simply dumped the cold patch on top of it. They didn't, in my opinion, use enough, it was not mounded enough so that it left a concave surface to begin with. Every time we have ice and snow or rain, it fills up and it cracks. And this week, we've had an accident with an injury. Somebody swerved and someone else ended up in the ditch, took out the telephone pole, so we had a period of no lights and no power, that kind of stuff. So I spoke to Penn Ridge Regional and said, and this is the 3rd time that the PennDOT has been here, and this is what they've done, and I took pictures, right, because I thought it was interesting, because the way they did it just seemed to me inviting trouble. And I understand patching pavement in the winter is no fun, not an easy job, but they clearly didn't do a job that was going to last.
So
And this one won't last either.
So,
We're going to do it again.
and that's the point we're bringing this up, is that if we get to a situation like that, we wanna make sure that we're not just filling that pothole with money and have to come back and fix it again.
Oh, literally money.
Okay? It's
And that's
literally
another advantage of using the same
contract.
contractor for all 11
Right.
schools, because then they can do them in different orders. If,
Correct.
right, June's still a little wet, they can wait till August to do whatever.
Correct. Okay? Okay, the high school window replacement and masonry project. The base bid on that was $363,000, and the alternates was 1 through 5. So what was originally on was the clock tower, the cafeteria curved wall, and the chimney. So when we came out to do our investigation, it's basically everywhere you have a garden wall with the limestone caps, the caulk joints are gone. The water's going in the wall and out the wall. So we put them on there as alternates to be added in case bids were favorable. So since we're slightly under budget overall for the 2019, the decision was to let's put these in there and do it while they're here, which took that base bid from 363 to 603. That's for the whole high school. That's both courtyards, that's all the retaining walls outside, it's the chimney cap, the clock tower, everything included. Including the replacement of the window in the amphitheater courtyard that were not done as part of the original renovation and construction project. And the Dryport Elementary walk-in refrigerator freezer, that was an add to the list from the food service department. They have an aging refrigerator freezer there. She's paying for that, I think, out of her budget.
Yes.
So we got actually really good numbers on that one. So, and there are no alternates. It's basically a replace in like kind of what's there. So that one, that was we actually had, I think, like a $65,000 budget coming to 54. So we're good with that. And then Guth Elementary flooring replacement is the